Hello YouTubers, this is Indiana Pepsi. I haven't done this in quite a while, but this had to be done. I had to do this one, get a video up of it. Um, and before we do anything, I'm going to say that there is huge, big spoilers, more than likely. So if you don't want to be spoiled or haven't played this game yet, then don't watch this video. And of course, this is for the new Fallout 4. I've played about 25 hours so far. Yeah, so I basically haven't slept that much, but it is a pretty damn awesome game. Um, some weird stuff and little tiny glitches, but not very much. First off, what I'm going to say is there's a lot of people having problems, I guess, and it's already up quite a few different places on how to fix frame rate issues and stuff. But just in case, I'm going to tell you. The game seems to be locked for a lot of people in 30 frames a second. So you need to go into your documents and your Fallout game and into a folder called Fallout Preference INI file, or Pref INI, and in there you need to find a line that says present interval equals 1, and all you do is delete the 1 and change it to a 0, and that will completely unlock the game and, well, not unlock the game, unlock the frame rate. So I actually was stuck a wee bit in the early goings, and when I come up against huge mobs, it was acting really weird and stuff. So I found this out, did it, and it works perfectly. There's another little get around as well. Some people might have small machines or whatever and think they are having trouble and a bit of stuttering. So this is a pretty amazing thing. It's allowed me to play it on high instead of medium. But what you do is when you go into options before the game actually starts, when you have the wee window on your screen when you first click it, and just click windowed borderless, and then make sure you go back up to where it says your resolution and change it back to 1080p, 1920 by 1080. And for some reason this puts it into a window mode, but it looks almost like it's a full screen mode, and it runs a heck of a lot smoother, and I don't know why it does it. I don't know why it runs better. It just does, because you're not using the full screen. But anyway, we'll talk about the combat first. The combat is very different, and obviously, as it's been over YouTube and some stuff that hasn't been or has been confirmed, and now obviously it has because the game's out, but VATS is completely different. It doesn't freeze time like it did in Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas and stuff. Some enemies actually still move pretty quickly, like of the ghouls and stuff. They move very fast. So when you're in VATS, they still move at quite a pace, and if you don't click on a certain body part, within say 5 to 8 seconds, by the time your little man, whatever you call him, will lift up his gun and aim and shoot, then it could be behind a tree or a mailbox or whatever. And sometimes if you're in hidden mode, if you're crouching, um, there'll be other obstacles that get in the way, and so you do have to be a lot quicker with VATS than what you were before. Um, sorry if I cough at all. I've not been very well, but anyway, another interesting thing is when you go to looting a dead body in Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. This got me. I ended up seeing the Pip-Boy screen a lot because of this. But in Fallout 3 and Fallout Vegas, when you clicked on a body or a toolbox or anything like that, you automatically went into a new window, and you looted what you wanted to loot, and then you pushed the back button. Or if you're playing on Xbox or PS, you would push the circle button or the red button to go back. This is no longer the case anymore. When you're looting a body, you just basically walk up to it, it automatically comes on the screen, and you pick up what you want. And you don't have to push any buttons to get out of it, you just have to walk away. I kept on pushing the back button by mistake, and I just kept on going and bringing up, the Pip-Boy. And anyway, just a few little differences there, but the biggest tip I suppose I could offer players starting this game is that they have changed every single little item in the game. This means that all those little tiny items in Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas that didn't mean anything or didn't do anything now do. And I've come across a lot of posts and a lot of questions asking, where do I get this, where do I get that, how do I be able to build this, whatever. Well, we're going to talk about that, about where to find your junk, as it's called in the game, where to get certain things when you're going to build your settlement, which is new to the game, and I've pants at it. I really am absolute underpants at it. I mean, it is so horrible. My new settlement, the walls are all like sitting like this and all jaggeded, and it's just not very very good at all. Actually, when the fellow was sleeping in one of the beds, and you could actually see where the roof wasn't put on right, where there was a gap and rain was coming down and hitting. We'll get to rain a little bit later, but anyway, certain things are actually not that tough to find. People think, where am I going to find this, where am I going to find that? Because you start off your settlement and you have to do things like plant food, obviously, and food is just, you just pick it up. It's just a random thing. There's no really, but you can plant anything. If you find an ear of corn, just go back to one of the gardens and plant it down, and that's one food. Things like a carrot only does like 0.2 or 0.3 food, so you might need to plant 4 or 5 of them to make one food. But generally, you need basically one food virtually for every person. You need one food. So if you have 5 people, your food has to be at 5. And generally, and when it comes to defense, whenever that little guy, I can't remember his name, the guy with the Elvis Presley living sideburns, in the Sanctuary, when you first get to him, when you help Preston and defeat the Deathclaw and get the minigun. Anyway, don't want to spoil too much, but anyway, when you get back to the Sanctuary, he asks you to do the defenses, and a simple way to do it at first, if you just want to not bother with your settlement and just want to go off and explore and roam, the simple way to do it is to put up 2 or 3 posts, defensive posts, and you build them easily out of wood. You can clear up everything, so go into your workshop mode, which is done by holding in your select button on your Xbox controller. I don't know what it is on the PC, because I play on the PC, but I use my Xbox controller to play. So, but it's select button and work mode. You go into your workshop mode, and anything that's yellow you can junk. You can pretty much junk everything, but I wouldn't advise doing that. If you have a bed or a mattress that's really still in good condition and it's in green, well, the default color is green anyway, I would actually store it and keep it, and then you can take it out and use it at a later date, and you can actually save a lot on resources, because it might take, let's for instance example, 4 wood and 2 steel to make a bed. But when you loot a bed and you destroy it, if it's a good bed, you're only going to get like 1 wood and 1 steel or something from it. You're not going to get what it would take back to make it, so you're actually losing resources. So if you find anything like tables or anything that's in really good condition, you can actually use them in your houses or whatever you want to build. Another thing about it is, if you find a house, which there are quite a few of them in the Sanctuary area, that's fallen down, it's really decrepit, you can't get inside, you can click on it and clear away the entire house, and you have just a brand new platform for building whatever you want on it. which you can build a prefab shack, small or large, wooden or metal, or you can just get prefabbed areas. You can floor it all, and you can just put up your own walls and your own doors, or you have like wee prefab pieces. You can just plant them all over the place and build around them. That's a bit more difficult because of the measurements. Sometimes you'll not find them fitting in, but at the same time, it doesn't matter. I've got one area above mine that is no posts, no nothing. They seem to be able to float in midair when you're building them. As long as they're connected to another one, they will connect and they will stay. Kind of like certain bricks when you're playing that wonderful, beautiful game of Minecraft, they will stay. Unlike some of the bricks like sand that'll fall down, these stay. But anyway, there's lots of different resources and stuff that you need. I would advise picking up things like telephones. These were useless in Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. They were just stuff to say, oh, you only got hang on. Excuse me. These were useless, even though you could pick them up in Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. They were useless, did nothing. It was just basically, sometimes they were only worth one, if not even zero caps to shops, and they were worthless picking up. But if you scrap a phone, for instance, you'll get fiberglass, you will get a spring, I think, and a few other bits and bobs, but more importantly, you'll get a circuit board, or two circuit boards, depending. Some give you one, some give you two. A hot plate, which again appeared extremely amount of times in Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. A hot plate. Pick it up. Do not let it go out of your sight, because you will get a circuit board and some other bits and bobs from in there. Virtually everything, even a plunger. A plunger will give you rubber and wood. A broom will give you cloth and wood. Even a dusty rag. If you find an old rag and pick it up, it will give you cloth, which is used for making beds and used for making different bits and bobs. You know, mats, welcome mats and stuff. So don't neglect to pick anything up. The circuit boards are quite important. Once you have a couple of circuit boards and a bit of metal, you can, and some oil, I believe you need oil, you can then put together a couple of turrets. The rule of thumb is you need to have 3 times more defense than what you have people living there. When you start off, you have 5, which means you need to have at least 15 in your defense. You have numbers across the top of your screen, and so you need to build at least 3 turrets. As that number goes up, you need to build more turrets around other places, and the same goes for food, water, resources. Water, you can build a pump. We pumps, and they give you 3 water. And again, I think you pretty much need one drop of water for every person, so you need 5 water. But there is in the sanctuary this wonderful little river flowing through, and once you get the right amount of resources, I'm not going to spoil about what you need to do it, but once you get the right level, and once you get a certain perk, which is called the can't even remember, it's the mayor perk. It's found in charisma at level 6, and this enables you to build a whole bunch of other stuff and new things. And this water filter, what it can do is you can actually take it and put this in the river just over behind the houses, and that actually purifies the water and it brings it out, and that actually gives you something like 9 or 10 water instead of just like 2 or 3 from a water pump, and that comes in very, very handy, you know. And it goes, the same goes for power generators and stuff, and which you need power generators. You need to build a recruitment tower. For a recruitment tower, you need wood, metal, it requires power, and you need something called a crystal. A lot of people, as well as same as the circuit boards, are having problems finding where crystals are. Crystals are found all over the joint. Any place you go to where there's traps on the ground, like laser beams coming across and things like that, if you disarm that, you will get at least 1 crystal, sometimes 2, and if your luck's high enough, you might get 3. They are found inside cameras, those cameras that you didn't pick up in Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas, because they were just a worthless camera that you couldn't find, you couldn't do anything with, you couldn't take pictures. You just had to press the wee buttons on your keyboard, your alt and your print screen, and you take a screenshot. You don't need a camera. So the crystals are found inside cameras and inside traps and other things. So you cannot neglect to pick anything up. Another thing, item of resource that people are finding very, very hard to find, and you need this for quite a few different things as well. I think you need this for the resource, for the recruiting tower, and a few other bits and bobs, but it's copper. And copper, believe it or not, is found in light bulbs and broken light bulbs. So you take everything, it will seem like a trek at first, but everything you junk comes straight back, go to the workbench, push your store button, whichever it is on the keyboard, or your triangle or Y button on your joypads for respective consoles, and that will put all your junk inside the storage thing, and you don't have to scrap it if you do that. You don't have to sit there and aimlessly push buttons to scrap this and scrap that. What it does is, if you have a bunch of copper wire and then you run out, but you've got 5 light bulbs, and you're building something that needs copper, it will immediately turn the light bulb glass into glass, and it will immediately take the copper wiring, the filament from inside, and put that into what you're building, so you don't have to scrap it. And you'll see the wee screen, the wee thing appearing right there on your thing, on your top corner of your screen, and it will say light bulb removed or whatever it is you've done. So these are quite good tips for the game. It is a fantastic game. It is a brilliant game. It looks beautiful. I mean, it looks beautiful. And I was quite worried about it because it was such high specs, but it actually runs pretty smooth. I've seen people running it on smaller quad core machines. I've actually seen it run on i3 machine, an Intel i3, which, I mean, is a brilliant processor, one of the best for its time. But of course now you've got the Extreme 6s and things like that coming out, and you've also got the other ones, the 92s on the other side, the AMD side and stuff. But it actually will run. You might not be able to get the smoothest, most perfect frame rate. You might be stuck at around about 35 to 45 frames a second, but it'll be more than playable, especially if you do the windowed mode, borderless, and it'll be more than playable. Once you get a lot of mobs on the screen, you might dip down to about 25 or 30 frames a second, but it's a playable game on a smaller machine. There's a few weird glitches. It's the major ones I've found so far that haven't been fixed yet, because there was a big day one patch. We'll get to that in a little bit, but the they fixed a couple of major glitches that were found, and so they're okay. But there is a few collision glitches where I've seen one or two of the companions falling through the floor or being able to walk through a wall and whatnot. So I don't know. There is a slim chance, I suppose, if you fall through a floor or whatever, you may get stuck. So you need to be careful with that. But that's obviously things that's going to be there. You can't have a big game like this. This is huge, huge. From what I've seen, the map is about 1.5 to 1.8 times bigger than Fallout 3. And it is maybe a little bit smaller than Skyrim, which is a bit disappointing, in honesty. I thought it was going to be bigger. I thought it was going to be closer to the size, or closer to being a little bit bigger than Skyrim, but it's not. But there appears to be, from the exploring I've done, there appears to be a lot of stuff crammed in there. So and it looks beautiful. There's very small loading times between inside and outside, and sometimes at first when you go into a building, if you go in and you're faced by any enemies or whatever right away, there's a few times where it might stutter once or twice, and then it just smooths out right away. But these are wee things that might be patched and fixed. There's probably going to be a ton of patches coming out in this early first couple of months, so little tiny things like that are going to be fixed, and frame rate issues will be sorted out. So there's no worries there. That's PC gaming, folks, and the way that the new generation of consoles is going, they're basically more convenient types of PCs. Whereas a PC game comes out, they won't necessarily work around what PC you've got. They'll just make a game, and if you can't play it, you've got to update your PC. Whereas the games when they come out on Xbox and PS, they work around the specifications of what they've got. Now, anyway, there was a lot of complaints and a lot of problems. I really feel for these guys, by the way, that I'm about to mention. When I got mine through the post, and got here in good time. But what they didn't tell us, oh, it's way over there. I'm not going to go get the case, but it's way over there. What they didn't say is that they're actually it's a 30 gigabyte game. What they didn't tell us is that there's only about 4 gigabytes on the disc. Personally, I would have preferred if they had to give us 4 or 5 discs, which they probably would, and then a short download from Steam would have been much better. But instead, they put 4 gigabytes on the disc, and then you started the game. You thought, I was like, whoa, that only took 10 minutes to install. That's quick for a 30 gig game. That wasn't it at all. I had to click in Steam, and then it suddenly says game will be playable in 4 hours and 36 minutes, and I was like, whoa, what the hell? And it turned out to be you got 4 or 5 gig off the disc, and then the other 25 you got from the Steam. Plus there was like a 3 to 5 gig day one patch, which also had to be downloaded. Those who bought the digital copy, I believe on Friday of last week, they were able to preload the game, which means they were able to start their download on Friday. So when it was released, they were just able to get the day one patch and go ahead and play, so they didn't have too much to do. I need to get all this shit trimmed off anyway past that. But I really feel for it in forums all over the place, especially on the Bethesda forums. There was people who had really bad internet connections and were saying that it says, it's going to take 6 weeks, and some were 8 and 10 and 11 weeks to download this thing. And I really feel for them people because people bought a physical copy. There's probably going to be maybe 50-50 to maybe 60-40 in favor of physical copies, because there are so many people in more rural areas, even some urban areas, smaller towns and stuff, where they just don't get good internet. Me, at the moment, I have decent internet. It's not fiber optic or anything like that. It can't, but it downloads at a decent speed. I think it's 15 down and about 5 up. So it's decent speed, but not like it's cable or anything that can go 60-70 down and 20-30 up, maybe even higher in some places. But they don't do that in my town. There's not enough people in my area that want it, so they're not going to lay down a whole bunch of cables and dig up roads and stuff for 20 or 30 people. They just won't do it. And this goes for other towns, especially in America. It's huge. It's huge, and there's so many people who just don't have the internet connection for this kind of stuff, and so they went and bought a physical copy, a disc, thinking they might have to download 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 gig. That might take them on their connection 4 or 5 hours, and they were probably prepared to wait for that 3 to 5 hours. No problem. But when they realized it was this amount to download, they were very disappointed. There was a lot, and I really feel for them. I'm really, you know, because I remember what I was like when I was at that point when I first started playing online games and started getting into big gaming. Some of these people only have the equivalent of, one, two, three, 400K. Some of them, they're. I had a friend who I tried to get to download an online game, which is a magnificent game, and he started the download on the phone, and I was talking to him, and he goes, "Wow, my internet's going really fast. It's downloading at 230K a second." I was like, "Well, I mean, I love the guy's class, but I didn't have the heart to tell him that that was super slow for this day and age, as far as internet connections go. That mine downloaded at something like 20, 15, 20,000 K a second. It's a hell of a difference, you know." And he let that game download for 5 days. It got halfway through, and the game just gave up and said, "You know what? This is going to take too long," and it cancelled on him basically and stopped, and it froze and wouldn't do it. After 5 days, he was 50% through, and that was I think that's a 20 gig download, 25 gig download maybe. And these people are having the same issues. They just cannot download this game because it is so big. And I'm willing to bet that if this had have been 100% disclosed, there would have been a lot of people out there who just wouldn't have bought it. There may be a lot of people out there right now as we speak, or as I speak anyway, you guys are hopefully listening, who may be wanting to get their money back from whichever retail outlet or online um, retail company that they bought the game from, physical copy. They may be trying to get their money back because they just can't download it. It's going to take far too long. And I kind of feel that and understand where they were coming from if they did, because it's a heck of a download to be doing. And this is why I don't believe the digital age is here yet, because there's too many people out there right now. I know people who don't even have Blu-ray players. I know people who barely have DVD players. And not just one or two. I know a lot of people who just don't. They either don't have a clue what they are or how much better they are, or just don't want them. And a lot of people who still only have PCs that have 1 gig and a wee small dual core processor and a 512 to 1 gig graphic card. Because they haven't really started to really super duper duper play the game. And they'll get, as long as their internet connection is good enough to go onto Xbox Live or PSN or whatever to play, and which you don't really need a super duper connection for that. They recommend you have a good connection or a decent one, but you don't have to have it. They're not going to go out and spend the money to get better internet, because there's just too many in this day and age. There's too many people and not enough jobs to go around, and not enough high-paying jobs. And a lot of employers these days are using recruitment agencies and going for temporary jobs, and so people can't afford to go out and update the huge massive PCs, or even sometimes get PlayStation 4s and Xbox 360s. I've got a PlayStation 3. I do not have a next generation console just yet. I'm going to stick with my computer for now. And if there's anything that comes out that I can't play, I'll cross that bridge when it comes to it and sort out either getting a new one or upgrading that one as much as I can. It just depends on how I feel. But yeah, there's just a lot of people out there who can't afford stuff, and it's as simple as that. In fact, I think if you out of pure gamers, if you were to say there is 1 million pure gamers, I'm willing to bet you that probably less than 30% have 16 gig or more RAM. 30% have a 6 to 8 core processor that runs at 4 or 5 gig. probably 30% or maybe less have a, a 6 gig card, or probably less than 5% have more than that, you know. So, and then you probably have about, I'd say about 35 to 50% have a bog standard gaming PC, which is 8 gig of RAM, a good either AMD or Intel quad core processor, and probably about 8 gigs of RAM, you know, and the rest have less, which is about 20% to 25%, maybe 30% or so ish of people have less than that and couldn't even play this game on other next generation titles that come out in PC, you know. And also a lot of people have got to take into consideration that there's families out there of people who like the game, but if you had one, two, three kids and it was a choice between your child getting a present or a school uniform, or I don't know, something like that, food in the cupboards, electric, or you getting a 4 gig graphic card instead of a 2 gig graphic card, what would you do? You would obviously buy the food and the school uniform and stuff for your child or children. You would sacrifice that because your children have to come first. If you're not willing to sacrifice that, then you shouldn't be a parent. It's that's that simple. If that's something you're not willing to sacrifice, then you shouldn't be a parent. But this is the problem. There's just not enough people who have big machines or good internet connections to play these kinds of things, you know. And I thought my machine was amazing, right? I was playing games on full, like Oblivion and Skyrim on super ultra, and I was going, whoa, this computer is amazing, man. And then this game came out, and on high settings, if I want to record any gameplay footage, which I might try and do at some point, I'm going to have to knock it down to low settings because it's not going to run my video capture recording stuff as well as my game. So and I might got a decent size PC. It's not huge, but it's around the ballpark of the average player, in between where that 35 to 50% of people would have. You know, where it's a borderline, it's going to run the game okay, average, but it's definitely not going to run on high with recording software in the background. It's definitely not. And that's definitely why the people I've seen arguing in the forums about the digital age coming. No, no, it's not. It's not, because there's just not enough people to go digital. There just isn't. You know, I mean, they were pushing digital for televisions for a long time in the United Kingdom, and it took them a long time to push it through because there just wasn't enough people. And in the end, it took the people free view boxes and stuff. They were coming down to £20 and £30. Then people were going out and buying them, and they ended up putting Freeview built into some of the cheaper sets, which you can buy for 150, 160 to £200. And then people started getting the Freeview, and then they started the digital switchover. But it took years before that happened, before people were doing that. And this is going to take years as well. It's not just going to change into digital, you know, the digital downloads, because there are people that don't have the internet power to download these games or this digital media, whether it be a gaming or an editing software or whatever. They're huge these days because they're next gens. There's people who probably have PCs in the world that wouldn't even fit this Fallout 4 game on their hard drive. That is how big this game is. It is huge, and there is, I guarantee you, there are quite a few people in this world who like to play games who would not even be able to fit a game like this on their hard drives. You know, which is a scary thought, but there probably is still people out there who play smaller games that maybe take up 3-4 gig, 5 gig on their hard drive, and then you come across this game. I mean, every game I've got on my hard drive so far, and I've got some doozies I've done, as you can see. I've got Oblivion, all the expansion packs, Skyrim, all the expansion packs, Morrowind, all the expansion packs, Fallout 4, Sims 4, and all the expansion packs to date. And that has got better and better as I've played it, but I've got The Witcher 1 and The Witcher 2, and they don't even come close to the size of this game. You know, these games are the Sims 4 with the 3 or 4 upgrade little packs and the 2 expansion packs still don't equal the size of Fallout 4 on your hard drive. None of them come close. They do not come close to the size of this game, you know, and that's just because of how beautiful it looks and the way it renders and the weather effects, which, oh, we'll go to that in like 5 minutes after I finish with this rant, because that's, oh dear lord. But yeah, seriously, the digital era is not coming, I don't think, for at least 10 or 15 years, maybe even 20 or 25, because there just isn't the people out there. And if they go to digital tomorrow, they're going to cut off anything between 65 and 75% of their market of who they're selling these things to. In my mind, I think Bethesda made a mistake by what they did. I understand there's pirates out there who want to steal the game, want to upload it onto sites and give it away for free, okay, or sell it or whatever. I understand that. I mean, I think honestly, the more anti-piracy software that these games or movies or whatever put in, you're always going to find somebody who can break them and do it. And that's just the way of the world. It might take them a month and a half or 2 months for one game. The next big game comes out, has slightly better, so it might take them 4 months. Then the next game comes out, it might take them 5, 6 months. But they're going to find a way. It's as simple as that. But I think Bethesda made a big mistake by making this game the way they did. They could have easily put out 3 or 4 discs and had a 2 or 3 hour install time, and then a small 1, 2, 3 gig download, which would have taken some of these people, 3 or 4 hours. It would have taken some people with better internet connections who bought the physical copy just to have some people buy it, because there is a little poster inside which is actually useless. I'll get to that after I get to the weather effects, but it's useless. It's pretty, but it's pretty useless as well. But yeah, that's what they should have done. They should have put this onto 2 or 3, 4 discs if necessary, even 5. Nobody would have minded. Nobody complained. There are plenty of online games that take 3, 4, 5 discs. There are plenty of other, games that take 3, 4, 5 discs. Even for PS3 and Xbox 360, there are games that take a lot. Well, not so much PS3 because it's Blu-ray, but Xbox 360, yes, there were games that had to be split up into 3 or 4 discs. This should have been on at least 3 or 4 or 5 discs, so you could have installed it, then went on to Steam and got a small download, and then the patch. And then people would have been able to play this the same amount of time I was playing it, where now people are actually probably still, I mean, it's the 12th now, and this has been available since the 10th, and there's probably still loads of people out there who are still downloading this game, and then you face that ultimate question: if I stop downloading this part of this game, is it going to start up where it left off if I start tomorrow morning? Am I going to waste my electric? Excuse me. Am I going to waste my electric and risk my machine and leave this on all night to download and put more pressure and more heat in my machine? So yeah, it should have been on discs. That aside, that's my biggest rant about this game, because I think it was a mistake for them to do that. This is not the digital era as of yet. Sure, we've got plenty of digital things, but we have not gone into the sole digital era, especially not download only when it comes to games. It's just not it yet. people are still, the majority of people, a good 50, 60, 70, 75% of people are still going to go for physical copies. One, because they don't want DRM. Two, because it's easy to get trapped in DRM and microtransactions, and people don't want that either. Two, some people want the physical copy just to have a physical copy because it might come with a poster, or like the Elder Scrolls series, maps and things like that that you won't get with a digital download. I mean, if they start doing things like download this game and then we'll send that stuff to your house in a separate package, then some people may change to downloading the game digitally. But because you get so much more, it's like I got a special edition of a game and I got a figurine and I got a statue about this tall, really awesome. I'm not going to mention the game, I don't want to step on anyone's toes or nothing. Um, but it's got a statuette, it's got a CD of the music, it had a book, like a diary book you could read through of a character in the game, and a few other little perky things. And the digital special edition didn't have any of this, and it was virtually the same price. And this is why people will go for physical copies, because physical copies of games, the Elder Scrolls Online, all these kinds of games, they give you special things with the physical copy. And so, and people, if you can spend £80 and get all this really, or 90 or £100, get all this special stuff with it, or pay £80 to get a digital download of the special edition, and it includes the stuff that may load into the game, like the Imperial race and the White Horse and stuff that you got with the special edition of Elder Scrolls Online, another Bethesda ZeniMax Studios one, which but not get any of the physical content, but still have to pay the same price. Majority of people are going to go for the physical copy. So we're still in a physical copy era. I think people still want physical copies. I know a lot of people who are annoyed because you no longer get playing manuals, the booklets. They used to be like 20, 30 pages, and now they're down, 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 down. And in this game, you just got a wee tiny page that says, this is the keys, that's it, bye. You know, and I remember back in my olden days buying a game, and you would open up the case and you would get an instruction, detailed instructions on the game, backstories on the characters, everything, and it was amazing. Oblivion, you got a beautiful big book which gave you backstories on lots of different stuff. It taught you so much about the game. Skyrim, you got similar, but it was a little bit smaller. Excuse me. But yeah, we're still in physical copy stage. So Bethesda, this was wrong to do this. I know people who are standoff and not buying this game just yet. Mostly they want to wait and see the couple of first patches come out first and see how it clears up. But some of them, because they have found out about this big download, and they don't want to go through it because their internet connection is not good and they can't do it. So you need to bring out a true physical copy, to where if it's on 4 discs, 5 discs, they won't care. They'll install the game and they'll download the patches, no problem. But they're not going to sit there and go through 25 gig of download because you only wanted to put 5 gig on a disc. So, you know, physical copies is still the way to go. Anyway, weather effects real quick, because we're going a bit long here. I don't want to go too much longer. Weather effects are beautiful. There is beautiful rain. There is fog, even on medium. If you've got a smaller machine, do the trick I told you by putting it on windowed mode and borderless, and then go back up and change it to 1920 by 1080, and you will get a full screen. But it's not actually full screen. It just looks full screen. What it actually is because it's in 1920, it will fit the resolution of your monitor you're using. If you put it in 1280 by 720, you will get about half the size of your screen, a windowed mode. But if you put it in 1920 by 1080p, you will get a full screen mode. It looks like full screen mode, but it's not. It's in windowed mode still. You just won't have any borders or nothing. You might get the little Windows bar at the bottom, but all you have to do is just hit the Windows key once and then click on the game with your mouse, and that'll all disappear, and then you can use your pad or your keys and play the game, whichever one you want to do, if you're playing it, of course, on PC. But this, and then you go into it, like I said, you go into the file, you change that line from, just take the one away and put the 0 on. The present interval one, take that away and change it to 0, and that is in Fallout 4 Pref INI, and it is in your My Documents, and it'll be Bethesda Softworks or just Fallout 4, and you go in there, you just take away, look for that line, present, I present interval 1, take away the 1, add the 0, and it unlocks the frame rate, and your game is good to go. And even on medium, you get the fog, you get the weather effects, you get nuclear thunderstorms, which is green. You have those green acid rain. You need to run for cover, otherwise you'll get radiation poisoning just from walking around nowhere near radiation. So it's really a beautiful game. I don't want to spoil too much perks or anything for you guys, but there's some. I'm not very keen on the new perks. Honestly, I'm not. It's not bad. I'm sure I will, as I play the game more, I will get used to it, and it'll be like, why the hell didn't you have this in Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas? But as it stands right now, I prefer the level up system in Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. I prefer having the skills. I prefer being able to level up your gun skill and level up your stats all individually. I prefer doing that, because I was a character who would add a few skills on at the start of the games, and I would stick to things like guns, science, repair, lockpicking, and things like that. And you were able to make your intelligence very high, get loads of XP, and just, you were getting 17. Yeah, you had 10 intelligence and you got 17 to 18 skill points. Plus, when you did the learner things, you got 10% more, and you get 2 more. From well-educated perk, you'd get 2 more skill points, so you'd get like 19 to 20 skill points. And so in 3 levels, I would have one skill almost, 60 points on it, and that would almost be enough to have it at 100. And you just do that. By the time I was level 15, I would have had 2 or 3 skills, well into the 80s, 90s, and be hacking advanced terminals and master unlocking and stuff. And I don't like the way you can't do that in this game. It's just my preference. I don't like it. I prefer the skill tree and doing it that way. But like I said, I'm sure I'll get used to it. For me, they haven't added anything different to it. All they've done is taken the skills away. It's just basically now your special and your perks. It's not the skills. And I just think that sacrifice, where it's not a complete disaster, I think it's better having the skills. But the weather effects are beautiful. Everything is great. The poster, I said I would get to the poster. Yes, it's useless. People thought, yay, we're getting a perk poster. We can actually look at these perks, see what they do, and then choose which line we're going to go through, and so we can actually have our character build almost done before we start the game. No, you can't. All you get is specials along the top. Your strength, endurance, intelligence, perception, luck, what have you, along the top. The rest of the little levels, you don't see anything. And it doesn't tell you anything about what is in there. And obviously they're not going to magically appear when you play the game because it's a poster. But yeah, it's not. It's just a poster, and I'll even, if you excuse me for just 5 seconds, it's sitting over here. It's sitting over here. Do not know you see it's Fallout 4. Season Pass, that's a good note. Although I would never go Season Pass. I mean, usually you get to save money or something. But it's for expansion packs. and I don't even know if I'm going to get them or not yet. But as you can see, along the top you have, it's a bit shiny, so sorry for that, your different things. But here you can see the wee man standing there, but it doesn't tell you anything about what that perk is. So you can't plan that perk out. You can't plan anything out. All that is just pictures. It doesn't tell you what they are or what they do. And I thought this was going to be like a map. I was actually disappointed that it wasn't a map. I thought we were going to get a Fallout map, like we got a Fallout or a Oblivion map, or we got a Skyrim map. I thought we would have got a map inside this game instead of this. This is pretty, it looks cool, but it's worthless because it shows your strength right here, and then you go down to your little man standing. Obviously it's got something to do with the fist, but you've no idea what it does. It doesn't tell you that it's got more than one level. You know, and another thing I don't like about this game is the fact that it only goes to level 10. Now it doesn't mean to say it's the level cap. But there was stuff in the other game you couldn't unlock and you couldn't do in Fallout 3 and Fallout 4 until you were at level 15, 20, 30, 40. Now, that is the case with this game as well. It just works in a different way. Like, now I know that perk is actually called Iron Fist. The first perk you can get at level 1. The second perk you might have to be level 5. The third perk you might have to be level 10. The fourth one you might have to be level 16. The fifth one you might have to be level 20. Where that is great for me, it's throwing everything into the perks, and the perks are supposed to be just that, perks. You know, they're a special gift for leveling up, where the skills were something you got all the time. The perks don't feel that special anymore. The perks don't feel like you're earning them or working for them anymore, because you get one a level. Whereas in Fallout 3, you only got a perk, you know, certain perks you couldn't get. You know, you would leave your perk there because you didn't want to spend it, because there was something else you wanted to get that you didn't have unlocked yet. And little things like that. And in this game, really, when you set yourself up, you're going to have, if you put yourself as a 10, you have all those perks unlocked. So if you want to get that level 10 perk right there, or that perk right there, you can get that perk. You don't have to wait till level 10 to get the first perk. It's available at level 1 as long as you have 10 intelligence or 10 perception or 10 whatever. You can get that perk if you've got those 10 stars at the top. So if you set your player up to be extremely smart and have no luck, then you can get the 10 intelligence one right from the start. And that's not the way it worked in 3 and Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. And I preferred their ways of leveling up because it made the perks feel more special. They were there, you seen what you wanted, but they were grayed out and you couldn't click on them, and so you found yourself saving perks for levels. Also, the specials, they are actually feel less special as well, because you only ever got a special intense training thing every couple of levels. And Fallout Vegas, I think it was actually 2 or 3 levels when you were able to upgrade and pick that intense training and upgrade one of your specials. Now, you don't have to pick any perks whatsoever. You can just level up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, if you've got level 5 strength, your first levels, you can make your strength 10. Whereas in Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, you couldn't do that. What you were picked as, you were stuck with, unless you did intense training or unless you got and were able to pick everything up. You know, you only got the perks every couple of levels. The intense training was only able to be done a couple of times. It made the whole game more, you had to fight for it more and made you feel better. And so, yeah, in short, I'm going to give the game, a 10, which is a pretty good score. And because looks brilliant. It's fantastic. It's very, very buggy at the start, which is going to be expected. The whole download thing, really bad idea. Right, that's what holds it back, because there's a lot of people not being able to play this game simply because of that. The only 5 gig on the disc, and then the rest had to be downloaded. That was a poor decision. I don't know who made it, but it wasn't a very good one. I'm sorry. The fact that the frame rate, this was a port game, I'm pretty sure, 100% sure actually. This was ported from the consoles to the PC, as most games are now these days. And so that is why the level cap was probably not adjusted or not undone. I'm sure there'll be a patch that comes out that will do any people buying the game right now. The patches will be downloaded before the game's played, and that will unlock the level cap. I'm pretty sure that somebody perhaps maybe forgot to unlock the frame rate cap, because the frame rate is capped to 30 on the next generation consoles. Everything has a drawback. The consoles are amazing, don't get me wrong, they are brilliant, they are convenience. You put the game in, install a wee bit of the game, and then you can play the game. It's pure convenience, right? They probably play the game, I'm going to say, on about high settings compared to the PC, where the PC plays on ultra, which gives you that little tiny bit added, plus it can go to 60 frames a second, where the consoles can't. So yes, they are better if you have the PC for it. The drawbacks is it takes a heck of a lot more maintenance and patches on the PC to fix them and make it more playable. There's just more work to be done and more tweaks to be done to make it suit the way you want it to do. It's not convenient. Sometimes in some games it can be downright hard to sit there and just tweak. People can spend hours just tweaking things around to fix it, where consoles, it's a plug in and play. You know, both have their upsides and downsides, simple as. But yeah, anyway, I think that's going to do it from this. As I said, 8 out of 10. Beautiful game, few drawbacks. There's going to be bugs. I don't like the leveling up system. Not that I don't like the level up system, I just don't like the lack of skills. I prefer the skills. It made the special feel super special, and it made the perks feel that little bit special. They were a gift every couple of levels, and the intense training to move your special up by a star was an amazing thing, because you were able to carry like 10 extra pound. That 10 extra pound, you were like, oh, thank goodness, now I can actually get that gun out of storage that was holding me back before. It was over encumbered. Now it's not like that. Now you can just put 5 stars on your strength for 5 levels, and you can get that break in your back perk right away if you have 5 stars, and it just makes leveling up seem a little bit less special than it did before. You basically level up, get 1 perk, put it wherever you want, as long as you have the amount of stars it takes to unlock that particular thing. You can put that star anywhere you want to put it in the perk list. You know, if you've got 5 stars in your strength, you're going to have the first 5 levels unlocked, and you can put it either to make your strength 6, you can put it in anything from the next 5. Once you get to 10 levels, you'll have all 10 unlocked, if you want to so put your strength up to that far. And so I don't like that. I prefer having the skills and doing the guns and all that, and the laser rifles and all that way, and the perks being speciality things, than the special attributes being really special. That was a better way to do it, in my opinion. But I'm sure this is just a minor thing. I will get used to it and get over it and move on. I can't change it. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching, those who did watch, and don't get burned in the water. You will get rats. Bye.